couple days, I feel, to get a good rust. But we're going to start prepping for that and getting that ready to go. Then we'll get them sprayed, and then we'll go into the whole rusting process with a patina that is from Modern Masters as well. But yeah, let's get this prepped. One thing I've learned with rusting onto acrylic is you need to prep it really, really well, especially if it's an outdoor sign. If it's staying inside, you can get away with a little bit of some things. But I recommend taking 600 grit sandpaper, and don't be shy on just putting a good tooth and a good aggressive. You don't have to be perfect on this, because rust ain't perfect either. Rust has imperfections. You look at a real rust, it actually has some texture and some splots. So you want to keep that in there. You don't want a smooth finish, and you want to kind of start kind of rough anyways as you get going. Scratches, just kind of think, go to your scrapyard and look at what real rust looks like, and that's what we're going to imitate here. And like I say, putting a good texture in, kind of just be nothing perfect, but the texture is going to help take this paint as well. And I have a sign I just did recently, and I'll post it at the end, that was rusted acrylic on black metal, and it comes out really, really well. And like I say, it's a process, but it works good. Hit your edges as well. Make sure we get those edges so this paint sticks to it. And then I would sometimes like to grab some little more aggressive sandpaper. So I just got some 150 here, and this kind of, like I say, just put some scratches in it. Don't really think too much when you do it. Just put random things in there. Keep it real, I don't know, just don't think about it. That's the best way to describe it. And just get your good scratches in there. And as you can see how I got some good, they're kind of going in different directions. When I run my hand on it, it actually has a little bit of a roughness to it. So I'm going to sand this just a little bit more, and then we'll spray 2 coats of that Modern Masters. Then we're going to let it dry, and then we'll start the rust process. Alright guys, now that I got this piece of acrylic prepped, I did wipe it down with alcohol really good just to remove any type of sand dust. I did wipe this blank down as well, but you can see that's kind of the look we want when it's sanded and ready to take this paint. So when we go to do this paint, I'm just using a standard HVLAP gun. I just put that metal effects paint in here. Now I did reduce this 20%, so it was a little too thick to spray, so I thinned the whole thing down 20% just to get a little bit better of consistency. One thing I've learned on this is, if you've ever sprayed cars, take all that information and throw it away. You want the imperfections, you want some little heavy stuff. If you get a little dust in there, if you accidentally pick up a little something, not the end of the world, but you still want that metal effects to bond to here, because that's key. And one thing I've learned too, when you go to do this effect, do it on black acrylic, because if you have an issue or if something goes wrong, it's less likely to show up on the black. And anyways, let's get this spraying, and we'll kind of I'll show you what that looks like, and like I say, we'll get this going here. Guys, you can see now that I got this sprayed. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up real well, but oh, actually it is. You can see that there's a little bit of a texture in there. We want that. See how it's not 100% perfect? We got some texture in there. We got kind of some imperfections, like there's a little something right here. We want that type of stuff in there to make the rust look more like a real rusted piece of metal. So this is one coat. I'm gonna let it flash off probably about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna go spray another coat. One thing I've learned with this material and this paint, heavier is better to allow that rust to really grab in. And I've had good success of it not failing with 2 pretty heavy coats. So now that this is dried overnight, you can see it just kind of looks like a dull flat black, but you can kind of see I got some texture and some imperfections in there. We want that for the rust to make it look more authentic. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this Modern Masters Metal Effects Rust Activator. I'm getting all this stuff at my local paint store, but I'm pretty sure Amazon has all this stuff. If I can find a link, I'll post it down below. But this stuff works really well, so when I go to spray it, they say you need to water it down, but I think the rust looks better when it's just 100%. Don't water it down at all. And then just put it in a normal water bottle. And then when you go to spray it, just kind of go heavy with it, but don't get too carried away with it. You want to kind of keep it, you don't want it real uniform. You want it to kind of run, make a little bit of a mess. You know, like I say, more imperfections and more just think imperfect with it. You don't want anything perfect on it. You want to let it rust. You can kind of see I'm letting it kind of roll around a little bit. And I like to do 2 coats, but I want to get that first coat kind of on there and just let it sit for probably a good, I'm gonna say about 5 minutes. Then we'll spray another coat after that. Then what I like to do is wrap it up in a tarp and just let the thing sit for 24 hours. And at 24 hours, we should have a good rust. And once we get that rust, I'll just take a little bit of water and just flush some of that stuff off and clear coat it, and then it's good to go. But let's let this sit for about 5 minutes, and then we'll spray the second coat. So now that it's been 5 minutes, you can see I kind of set some things up a little different. I got a tarp here ready to go, so when I go to spray it, I'm going to fold that tarp over and again let it sit for about 24 hours. One thing I've learned with the second coat is prop it up at a little bit of an angle. Let it kind of run. If you can, I don't know if the camera's showing it, but you can kind of see there's some streaking already going about right in here. That'll help get you a more authentic type rust, is let it run kind of down a little bit and kind of get it veiny looking, I guess, if that makes sense. But I find I get some of my best rust doing it this way, and you get a little bit of black and some stuff in here as well. And like I say, it looks like you're starting to see some of the rust pick up a little bit, and it's in the very, very early stages, kind of right in here. And I can already see there's some starting right in here. Again, about a 24-hour process, but I'm going to put that second coat on now, and I'm going to go kind of heavy again. Okay, let it kind of run for a minute. And usually what I kind of like to do is let it run and let it puddle right here and let it sit for a little bit. Then what I like to do is flip it around the other way, and not as much of a steep degree on it, maybe something more kind of like that. I'm probably maybe only 2 inches above the table, and let it slowly run itself back over. I find that I get, like I said, I find I get some good vein rust texture. It just looks really good going this route. So now that the second coat sprayed on there, it's now just a waiting game. We need to let it sit for about 24 hours. I'll check back in on it probably around the 12-hour mark and see where we're at. But for right now, it just needs to sit. And then again, make sure when you use your tarp, like right here, it might be touching that sign face, which will affect your rust a little bit. So when you go to cover it up, make sure you have some things, it don't matter what, just make sure you have something in there to just kind of help prop it up a little bit so it doesn't touch that rust. Just so we have a little bit of a, like I said, we want a little air, but we want it covered. I'll kind of show you what I got going on here in a minute. So as you can see, guys, I see how the tarp is not touching the sign face. The sign face is right here. Leave it up a little bit so it doesn't touch that, because it will, again, it will mess up your rust. But you want to kind of almost create like a tent. Have a little bit of an opening, have a little bit of some airflow. I usually kind of just keep one side closed. It don't really matter. But then, like I say, just have a little bit of an opening, but keep it enclosed. In about 12 hours, we'll see where we're at. We should have a pretty good rust at 12 hours. But yeah, let's check back in at that time. Then we'll check again at the 24 hours and start assembling this. So it's been 12 hours since we sprayed the rust solution on this sign. Let's take a look and see how it's doing. Oh, it rusted really good. So just in 12 hours, look at the rust. Looks pretty natural for being on a piece of acrylic. But yeah, it's, let's pick it up real quick. But yeah, you see all the different textures, and you got some dark browns, some light browns. We got a little bit of some chemical sediment right there, but that'll get taken care of here shortly. But no, looks like it came out really good. So we're gonna put another little light coat on there, clean it up. Usually I just kind of rinse it with water a little bit, and then clear coat it, and then it's good to go. All right, so I sprayed one more coat of the rust solution, just a real light spray, nothing fancy, just to kind of even some things out and kind of just giving it a little bit more of a rusty dark look. But the color you see right now, this dark brown, when we clear it, it should be pretty close to this color, maybe a little lighter. But we're kind of creating a rustic looking sign out of acrylic. And then, like I say, here's this kind of a little bit of some color. Like I say, this is kind of just some stained gray on some piece of oak. So we kind of getting kind of a nice rustic sign at a very affordable price. So if you don't have a laser cutter for steel and you want to do the rusted look, acrylic is a good option, and doing it with this Modern Master really makes kind of a really rustic sign for a very affordable price, and it will last a long time. There is some limitations with this, and we'll talk about that when it's all done and put together. But yeah, I'm gonna let this dry a little bit. We'll get it clear coated and we'll start assembling it and do our final thoughts. All right, guys, it's been 24 hours. The rust is finally complete. It looks pretty good. Looks like a real natural rust. And yes, this is acrylic. But yeah, look at that. You can kind of see some different textures and everything in there. The next step is I'm going to clear it with this Max Flex from PBG. This stuff works really well, and all I'm doing with this is putting a protective coating, because it actually leaves a residue. I don't know if you can see that on my finger, but it's just a little more for safe handling. It's the only reason really I do this. So let's get this sprayed and then we'll assemble the sign. All right, we're gonna let that dry for a little bit and then we'll start putting this thing together. All right, so we're gonna start assembling this. You can see I already got the black acrylic onto the rusted piece. So when I like to assemble these, I like to cut it could be out of cardboard, a drop piece of plywood, which is what this is. I just laser cut a piece in there, and so I can get everything to line up where I want it. Then I like to use this 3M tape on the back. This stuff works really well and quick and easy. It's not messy like the glue. And you just literally pop them in there and keep on moving down the line. This 3M tape is a little pricey, but I feel like it's worth it in the end because it gives you a cleaner look. So I'm going to finish assembling these up, and then we'll pull the template off and take a look at it. I like to make note, doing 3M on the little letters, little tiny letters, makes a huge difference. These are probably maybe about an inch tall. So much cleaner to do the tape. I would, like I say, I highly recommend it. But yeah, let's get this going and we'll take. All right, so now that we got everything assembled, taped and glued, let's pull our template off. That's still drying a little bit. I used the CA glue on this wood piece right here. But so there it is. I still got the mask on everything. So this acrylic I have right here, and I'll show you on this M, is actually mirrored silver. It's just mirrored acrylic. It's all it is. But once it gets peeled away, it actually looks really sharp on this natural rust looking sign that's actually really not even metal. It's kind of cool. But yeah, let's get this peeled off and then we'll take a look at it. There you have it, guys. There's a completed sign with everything peeled off. See the mirrored in there on the text. And then we got white acrylic. We got some gray wood. We got a nice rustic sign at a very cost-effective price. To do these acrylic signs like this and rust them really doesn't cost much. I mean, you got your acrylic at a couple bucks, your mirrored at a couple bucks. I mean, you know, I would probably sell something this size. This is 12 inches. You know, I can probably sell this for 65, 75 bucks. And it creates a beautiful sign for interior lobbies. You can do this outside. I just recommend a wall mount, not free hanging with the acrylic, as acrylic is, it will break in the wind. But for, you know, kind of that small town rustic feel. I'm in Colorado, so rusted signs is actually kind of everywhere. So this type of sign sells really well with a little bit of a modern twist to it. So if you want to reach out, if you're looking for a sign or you want to get some more information, reach out to us. It's bisonpeakdesigns.com. Send us an email if you want to get a quote. There's a quote form on there. Send us that, and we'll be more than happy to help with you and your logo. But until next time, I'll see you in the next video.